So I just want to start by saying that this class really opened my eyes and brought statistical truth to the discrimination that's going on in America among a bunch of different ethnicities. And it was really hard for me. Some of the readings it really was a struggle for me to get through them because of how horrible the facts were. So the 5 things that I learned. The first one is that we need to listen. We need to be around those that have different cultural backgrounds than us, and we need to really listen to them, allow their stories to permeate our hearts and create a burden in us for change. If we really listen, I think that they'll tell us how they're feeling and why, what the problem is. I think that there's a lot of power in personal stories and making those connections with people. The second thing that I learned is that we need to educate and then protect. By educate, I mean that we need to educate those around us that there is a lot of discrimination still going on, that there's a lot of deep-seated prejudices, and then we need to protect those that are being discriminated against. The thing that really affected me was when I heard that Black parents want their kids to be born light, a lighter skin tone, and that was really hard for me to hear. It's so sad to me that kids especially are treated differently just because of their skin color, just because they're Black, and that's by adults, that's by other kids. I don't think that any child should fear for their safety, and no parent should send their kid to school or send their kid out for a day with friends and have to worry about whether they're going to get stopped by a cop or whether they're going to be verbally abused by others. I don't think any parent should have to bear that weight. The third thing that I learned was that we need to get rid of the illusion that Black people, Black men especially, can't get jobs because they're lazy or unwilling. It's just not true. Racial discrimination in the job market is still really real, and that was a really sad fact for me. Like, it's almost 2020 and we're still denying people jobs solely based on their name. If their name sounds Black, oh, you don't get a second interview. That's really real, and it's a really sad fact. The fourth thing that I learned was that being quiet and taking no action is just as harmful in the long run as being racist or discriminatory. I believe that with the information we know, especially from this class, from the news, we need to stand up for those that don't get a voice. We are called to this. In the Bible, we're called to be an advocate for those that are destitute, those that don't get a say. And I think that is our job as Christians, is to stand up for these different races that don't get the opportunities we get as white people. The fifth thing that I learned was that police violence is a big problem, and that there is a real fear going into communities, going out and about for people of different ethnicities. There's a lot of deep-seated prejudices that cause immense harm. We need to realize this and understand other people's perspectives. I just keep thinking about the Dallas cop that shot the Black man, or just like so many different instances. I have friends that have been falsely accused of things because of the color of their skin, or just that sort of thing. Just the amount of times my Black friends have said, like, oh yeah, like, they said this to me, or like, it just blows my mind that still today, even after all the civil rights movement with Dr. King and all of these things that America has done to improve, it's still such a problem, and it still is so heavy on so many people's hearts, and it doesn't seem to be brought about. There isn't much talk about racial equality. And so I think it's something that really needs to be brought to light, and it's a change that really needs to be made in America, because ultimately we're all made in God's image, regardless of the color of our skin, and every person is loved by God, and every person is called into the kingdom and to be disciples that make disciples. So that needs to be our main focus.